Now, the purpose of this video is to give you a very quick overview of some of the themes, meanings, and ideas from Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. It's by no means exhaustive, and I remind you that the idea of themes and meanings comes from the reader. It's what emerges from the text, and these are some of my ideas for some of the meanings that can emerge from the text. So the aims of this are to allow you to identify the key themes and ideas that might emerge from readings of I Am Legend, and to even identify what a reading is. So what is a reading? A reading is simply an interpretation. When we make meaning, we make connections to broader ideas and themes. What does the text have to say about these ideas and themes? So a bit of a broader view of this, have a look at the video I made about searching for meaning in text. It'll elaborate on this a bit more. And so some of the key ideas that emerge from I Am Legend include man's capacity for self-destruction, mankind as the monster, loneliness and alienation, the nature of legends, and fear of the other. So when we think about man's capacity for self-destruction, we can see how the vampires emerge following a holocaust, some kind of nuclear incident, a nuclear war. The vampires are written in the discourse of science, and this challenges the dominance of science in World War II. For a bit more on that, we're looking at the context of the period, written in 1954, and following Hiroshima and Nagasaki. For the first time, it became clear that human beings could destroy themselves, could wipe ourselves out as a species. So then we see man as the monster, and this is suggested by the title. The title I Am Legend, the last sentence, where Robert Neville has become the evil that we so deplore. Man becomes the monster, and this kind of leads from even Frankenstein, the idea that man can create the monster that destroys him. The idea that, that Neville has become the killer in the night is revealed by Ruth later in the novel, that is revealed that Robert killed her husband. And so he has become the equivalent of the vampire. It's a beautiful symmetry that exists in the novel. So when we look at loneliness and alienation, this actually emerges directly from the horror genre. Right? The alienation of the protagonist is a key feature of horror. And in this novel, the question, can a man live alone, is asked. And we see this in the symbolism of the mural. It appears twice and signifies the key changes in Robert Neville's mental state. Because we see in part one that people need purpose. Robert Neville has no purpose. He's an alcoholic, just going through day and night, killing vampires during the day and getting drunk at night. Yet in part two, particularly when the dog appears on the scene, his life acquires a purpose. He acquires a purpose when he discovers that the vampires are the result of a bacteria, and he starts learning. So he goes through this transformation early in the novel as he acquires some sense of purpose. The nature of legends as an idea emerges directly from the title of the novel. So legends achieve mythic proportions because fact and fiction become blurred. And Matheson creates a symmetry with the real person passing into legend in this novel. And so what's interesting in this is that flipping that I keep referring to here, that the real person becomes the vampire of myth in the eyes of this new species of vampire at the end of the novel. Fear of the other is integral to the horror genre. What we have here is that the other is the unknown person to be feared, and we see this time and again in horror, in all kinds of genres. The vampire is this other in the novel, and it's he who is interestingly the neighbour. By that I mean Ben Cortman. Ben Cortman is the neighbour who is the vampire, and so the other is familiar. And in the other presentation we've done in class, we looked at the context of the period, and in 1954, we have the communist witch hunts and this fear of communism, the fear that communists already lived among us. And so in this fear of the other already being among us, the evil already being there, is one that's familiar to audiences of the time. But in this novel, Neville becomes the other. He is the odd one because the majority becomes the vampires. And so fear of the unknown drives this novel in many ways, and that's a feature of the horror genre. So overall, I hope this has helped you get some ideas for the themes and meanings and readings of this novel. It's like I say, it's by no means exhaustive. This is a starting point. Hopefully you can see the connections and the manner in which these connections have emerged from the novel for how readings come about. So good luck.